If it is raining, we're going to stick them in here, and we're still going to do the fireworks, the Firebirds. We've got a lot of wood to burn, and how many of you were out there last night with us?
Really?
The rain and the heat, you feel like you're in a little bit of a sauna. You don't mind the rain at all. And Charlie had been cooking for about 4 hours on one of those things, and he made the most scrumptious, delicious tenderloin you've ever had in your life. Who got a piece of that last night?
Wow.
It's pretty outstanding, wasn't it?
Wow.
Those of you sleepyheads missed out. Too bad. More for me. So at any rate, I just want to, this is one of our most, as you can see, one of our most well-attended seminars, so I want to give it up to you guys, and you can take it over. And welcome, Larry and Rose.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for coming. And you're hearing from someone who was very not interested in boondocking. And now I am passionate about it.
Really?
We retired in June, and it's changed everything about me for travel. So I just want to welcome you all and be ready for some wonderful information. And I'm going to have the panel introduce themselves.
I'm Lori Bennett. I'm from Pennsylvania.
I'm Mike, and this is Penny.
Hi, Penny.
The cord will not be long enough to reach the end of the table.
Ellen and my husband Scott, we're hosts from Boondockers Welcome, soon to be Ellen and Scott from Ontario, Canada. We are hosts for boondockerswelcome.com, soon to be users. I'm Bonnie, my husband and I, Frank over there, we are from Ann Arbor, and thus far we've had 5.5 years of being hosts.
I'm Dave McKenna. I'm not from anywhere. I've been full-time for 8 years now, and been doing a lot of boondocking during that time.
I'm Bernie, and my handle is Second Wind. I'm from Bloomington, Indiana, and I just really love this organization. It's a great thing.
All right.
I'm Emily Okada. I'm Bernie's wife. Gus the dog down here. And we've been in Boondockers Welcome since at least January of this year, and we've been using it in our trip down to Florida this February. And I am a convert. I was sort of very skeptical, but it's really a great idea. Cool.
What I'm thinking is we do have a lot of people interested in boondocking, and though we have some Boondockers Welcomes who have done that, we thought maybe the panelists could talk about some boondocking first, and then we'll move into the Boondockers Welcome organization. So the mic is a bit of an issue. I know some people need it to be able to hear, so I'm thinking even maybe as the panelists talk, maybe if you wouldn't mind coming up and talking, if that's okay. We have some questions that we've come up with, and we're thinking at the end we'll then take questions from you if there's nothing that's been covered by the panelists. So first off, we have, what is boondocking? So I'm thinking we have an expert here, so let's hear about that.
Everyone has their own definition, so let's hear Keith.
My definition of boondocking is just camping without hookups, being 100% self-sufficient, whether it's just for one night or whether it's for 21 days, which is my limit.
Is that anywhere? Like if you're in Walmart and you're boondocking?
I consider that boondocking, although I don't like it.
And while we have not had the luck or privilege or whatever to be someone else's problem, Frank and I have joined because we wanted to be able to use it and stop along the way as we would travel the country. And it just, for whatever reason, hasn't worked out for us. But through the years, we have had, like I said, 5.5 years of hosting. And for us, we have all the amenities that they need. We've got full hookup if you come looking for that. It's not any different than parking out here. They can plug in, they have sewer hookup, they have water, and our whole backyard. So for us, it's been fun, and we've met people from literally as far away as Australia and anywhere else across the United States at this point.
Wow.
Yes, and we've hosted, I'm Mike again, and we've hosted as well as boondocked. And I'm telling you, either way, it is the most amazing experience. We've had people stay with us. We had this Chinese lady stay with us who they broke down and they wanted to make up for staying a couple extra days. They cooked a meal that was like 6 meals for us. They took over our house and the kitchen. We've had just really interesting people stop by. We've been on farms, 2,000-acre farms, where we've stayed with people and they showed us their farm and talked about Monsanto. We were in Texas near Austin, and this gentleman knew everybody in the music scene, and we play music. We ended up at a 5-day music party and got to hang out there even longer. So you just don't know what you're going to run into, and it's just really a cool thing.
Anybody else? I just wanted to say, and I had a conversation with Randy the other night when we were there, and really, Boondockers Welcome is almost a little, doesn't fit perfectly, because in most cases, you're not boondocking at these places. Like you've heard these people say, it's different than boondocking. We've had full services, including Wi-Fi password, full sewage dump and the whole bit. So Boondockers Welcome is really more what I call courtesy parking. And like I say, in some state or another. But let's sort of talk about boondocking in the purest sense first, and then we'll jump more into the Boondockers Welcome. How's that? Sound good?
Okay, so our next question to the panel, anyone have any input on this? Do those free scenic boondocking places that we see and go RVing really exist?
You know the ones we mean, right? There's beautiful. It's a beautiful lake. There's one trailer there. There's nobody around.
Mountains in the distance. You know what I mean? Crystal blue waters. And also, I guess too, if so, where to find them?
Yes, and I'll tell you maybe. Here's an example, okay? And in the middle of the season, that picture with the mountains in the background and all that, maybe harder in the middle of the season. But here's an example of a good boondocking place. Y'all know where the Grand Canyon is. Williams, Arizona is the biggest town south of there, kind of the jumping off point to go there. Well, instead of going up to one of the campgrounds or into the national park, as soon as you leave Williams, you go about 3 or 4 miles and you're in National Forest Service land, and there's dispersed camping is their word for it. At least on the east side, because I camp there, maybe on the west side too. You just drive down a little dirt road and you just pull off of the little dirt road, and I spent the whole 14 days I was allowed in a nice grassy meadow with pine trees around and bird sounds, and just wonderful. They do exist, and the nearest rig was probably where the red building is.
Is that what they call public land?
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll get more into that as well.
Thank you. And then we're going to ask for the boondocking. Again, I think you already did it, and so maybe we'll add ours. Do you have a favorite boondocking places? So for boondocking, so just boondocking, we were doing the Cabot Trail in Canada on Cape Breton Island, which is very popular. We knew some locals who told us, instead of going this way, go views are better. Then we found out there was an abandoned RV park on the Cap Trail. And along we went, not far along the highway. We saw the sign that wasn't there, but we knew the spot. We were camping on the ocean on a waterfront site by ourselves for free. There was no limit. Two cyclists who had gone up to the beautiful campground at Meat Cove, I should say, campground at the top of Cape Breton, came on their bikes from it, and they camped on the point in their beautiful tent for a night. We had a lovely visit with them. Otherwise, we were alone, and it was heaven on earth. And that's the day I said, "Oh my goodness!" And that was from the Days End. We joined Escapers, so we could see the Days End list. And it's you get state by state, province by province, all these. And this was one of them. And I think it said "nice view." I think that was a description of it or something. And with their guidance, which was very direct and simple, we were in heaven. So that's sort of our favorite, I would think, boondocking location.
Explain it again.
Because they have a listing, basically.
How do you get it?
When you join Escapers, you have access to this listing. It's like an extra subscription. Once you have it, you get all the updates. All the members that do it add to it, so it's updated as people visit. They put an input on it no longer exists, and when you do that, you get points, and it's just really cool. For me, because I'm from that generation, what we do is when we know we're going to Maine, we will print out Maine, and it's alphabetical by city, but even still, we go through, we're going to go to this town, we look it up, and we see what the site is. And it's that simple, and it's been really helpful. And we use some of the websites too, so it's sort of, freecamping.net, what else? And Campendium's good, but for me, that listing was one of the key things. With Boondockers Welcome, perfection. So our next question is, did anyone else have input on any?
Favorite places?
So we play music, and we volunteer at a lot of music festivals. And we volunteered, or actually we did, for Salmon Fest 2 years ago in Alaska. And we camped with the same group of other people, every night. And we played music each night. And at the end of the festival, we had 4 invitations to come and boondock in their driveway for as long as we wanted. Well, one of the guys who extended an invitation owned a lot. If anybody's been to Alaska and been to the Homer Spit, he owns a lot of the real estate there. So we ended up right on next to the boardwalk, overlooking the bay, Ketchimak Bay, and it was absolutely stunning. So yeah, it's an amazing thing to boondock, and we didn't plug in or anything, but it was just and the salmon, So Mike was going to go put the line in to catch some more salmon, and he said, "Oh no, you don't need to do that." Well, he was a fish broker, and he did like $250,000 phone calls with halibut and salmon and shrimp, and he started throwing frozen fillets at Mike. So we came home with some more fish. But anyway, it's a great thing to boondock.
Anything else from the panel? Okay, next. What's the longest you've ever boondocked in one location? We've done national forest sites where, it's like a campground. 14 days was the limit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Depending on where you're at, and by my definition of boondocking I gave earlier, you can be boondocking in a Forest Service campground because they don't have hookups. I've stayed in my rig without resupplying anything for as much as 21 days by being really careful and conservative with the use of water's the issue. Actually, sewage storage is the issue for me. But as you said, many of the public lands you're only allowed to stay 14 days before you have to move on 30 miles. And shall I talk about the long-term visitor areas?
Yeah, that's there. That's down.
Well,
It's sort of,
until it comes up.
yeah, okay.
Okay, we pretty much covered how long you're allowed to stay. So, is there any land where you're allowed to stay? Well, other than long-term visitors, I guess. If it's national forest land, it usually has some defined date.
Right.
And there are people sometimes who go in a little further and ignore those dates, but that's sort of, I guess that's a personal call, and they risk fines, I guess, right?
Yeah, it depends on the entity that controls the land. Now, I've stayed on private land where you can stay for months, you know, and then I know of places that I don't have to go ask somebody to stay there. I just know it's acceptable. You just need to know who controls the land and what their rules are. The 14-day on federal government land is enforced more strenuously the more people there are in the area. If there's hardly anybody around, they ain't gonna care unless it looks like you're setting up a homestead. But at 14 days, you do run the risk of being told to leave or being fined.
And if you're in mostly visa-free locations, do you ever stay in ones that have any fee?
Oh yeah.
So more of a
I don't mind paying for a place to park, but I also like getting them for free.
And how about regulations on boondocking on public?
I'm the wrong person to ask about
I think they vary, and you know, and really, you got to, and how they're enforced locally depends on where it is. Right? Yeah. And the good thing is to visit the local forest station and stuff, and talk to them. They're really good.
Yeah, if you're going on like Forest Service land, you go into the ranger station and you tell them what you want to do, and they'll tell you where the good spots are, and they'll give you or sell you a map and the whole thing. I mean, they want you to use the land. They just want you to use it responsibly.
There's a question back there.
BLM land out in Arizona and California, there's 5 places that you can pay for 5 months. It's like 180,
Yeah,
220.
yeah, we'll get into LVTAs just a little further down. How's that? Okay. How about just general common courtesy rules, you know, when you're boondocking? And of course, anybody here? Anybody else?
What I've observed from the people we have hosted, because they're representing the average person out there, they have always brought us a gift of some kind, whether it be a couple bottles of wine. It's their way of just saying thank you. And we never asked for it, but it's a nice gift, a box of candy, something of that nature, just to say we appreciate the fact that you've let us stay here. And we didn't anticipate it initially, but I don't think we've ever had a guest that didn't bring us something. So it's just a simple thing.
Just from watching, is it working?
I'm pretty cool.
Okay. Just from watching sites, more or less, I think the actual boondocking, we talked about the BLMs and stuff like that, leave them clean. I mean, I've heard a lot of people going in and they're like pigsties, so really it's awful. And it's just like here, you know, you clean up your campsite, take your garbage with you, and respect your neighbor. Don't park too close to your neighbor. You know, pay attention to when you've got your Jenny on, your generator going, and just pay attention. Like I know somebody's pet peeve would be, well, we've got all this space and they parked right beside me. It would be a little safer, but I came out here to be alone, not to be right beside you. If you want to talk, that's great, we'll talk. But that's just the basic things. I think the biggest one is take your garbage with you and leave it clean. Yeah, leave it clean. So that would be my input. No, we just said
I have one other thing, because we have a big dog, is no matter where you're staying, I think, even if the people say, oh no, it's okay, I would, if you can, unless it's way out in a pasture or a meadow or whatever, to pick up after your pets.
And I just want to speak a bit more about boondocking and garbage, because it's my thing. I'm really into birds and nature, and there's nothing. And one of the things that really brings me joy is cleaning up. So I'm just using the example of the national forests, which are so beautiful. And for us Canadians who pay a lot for camping, they're so reasonable. But they are very like our provincial park people. They're very cut in staffing, and they don't really have time to pick up after people. So what I find really rewarding is to not just clean up my campsite, but just to maybe go around when you're going for a walk, and maybe once in a while take a bag and pick up some garbage. I have little gloves that I use, my garden gloves, but I guess I do a little bit more. The other thing we did on the golf, because the golf is like a washing machine that is continually churning up garbage, it was kind of neat to go out on the tide went out and just pick up some garbage every day. So that when people walked along, there was no garbage, and it just, I don't know how to tell you, but you don't think much about it, but it does make you feel a lot better. And just keep that in mind. That's something you might be able to do too, in a way of paying for the free land, is maybe just do a little bit more. And that's one of the things that I have found very rewarding. The next question we have is, do you need to equip your RV with a generator or solar in order to try boondocking? Is there anything?
I'm a master electrician to begin with, so we have set up ours. we have set up ours with solar power, and it is wonderful to have. I don't think everyone needs to do that, especially if you haven't tried this, but sometimes maybe a little bit better battery or an extra battery in your coach might make all the difference so you can make it through the night. You don't want to find out at 3 in the morning that the furnace is quick, you know. So you can go just in little steps, and you can get just a solar panel. I think I saw someone out here by the fence, and they had 2 panels just laying in the grass. And that's a great way to start. But you'll find once you put them on the roof, you're getting charged while you're driving down the road, and you'll get there with a full charge. So it's not much money. It pays for itself in almost no time at all. So a little bit of a holding tank, a little bit of water, and a little bit of solar is a great thing. But you can get by with just a battery, in my opinion.
Dave, do you want to add? And you can actually, I'll ask you the next question too.
And don't let your lack of solar keep you from trying boondocking, because all that solar panels do is put energy back in your batteries. It's the same thing your generator does. If you don't have a generator installed, you know, you might want to buy one of the little Hondas or something, or Yamaha. And you know, make your first attempt at boondocking right in the RV park, where when things go bad, you can just go ahead and plug in, because you know the trick to managing your electricity when you're boondocking is knowing how much you're using and how much you have available, so that you can plan. And so, you know, try it out.
Here's the next question.
Boondockers Welcome people do let you. The Boondocker Welcome people do let you know if they'll give you 15, 20 amps or 30 amp. So, you know, believe me, you can just go there with whatever you've got right now.
8, I don't know the exact number of areas per people to camp for the whole season. And they provide you with a few basic services. They have a dump station in many of them, not all of them. They have water available, they have trash, big dumpsters, you know, so you have a place to put your trash. And it's very reasonable. Last time I looked, I think it was $180 for the full season, which is a 7-month-long season over the winter time. And what is it? Somebody correct me because I'll probably be wrong. I think it's $80 for 1 month and $40 for, what is it?
It's just $40.
$40 for 2 weeks. Okay, yeah, same thing. Good. And I mean, you're on your own. You just go out there, find a place to park, and lots of people use it. Some of the places are really social. You go like to Senator Wash, which is on the California side of the Colorado River. That's near the Yuma Proving Grounds. And they got all sorts of activities going on that people have organically organized. And you have access to the, well, I don't know if you still do with all the craziness going on, but you used to have access to the Yuma Proving Grounds where they have a grocery store and a bowling alley and a movie theater and all that stuff. And then some of them are just a little bit more sparse, where if you want to go dump your tanks, you have to go to one of the other areas or something. But it's, you know, it's a rural budget way of, yes sir?
Who's in charge of that? How do you get it?
That's Bureau of Land Management.
Maybe we'll just roll right into the next one.
Anybody else have something to say about the LTVA? Who here has camped in an LTVA? So those are all people that know, you know, as much or more about it than I do. Sir?
I guess next. Where do you, any comments?
Yeah, on the LTVAs, we pay the $40 for 2 weeks, or the $180 for 6 months. They have dump and waters there, and the officers will check in just like you would a campground. So you can stay $40 for 2 weeks. You got water and dump, whatever you need.
That's right, and if I understand correctly, that 2-week period is not just for that one where you paid for it, it's for all 8 of them. You can go between them if you want to.
I guess the next question was, you sort of covered part of it, where do you dump your tanks or fill your water? We use sandy dumps. Do you use sandy dumps?
Yeah, I've used that to try to find a dump station. Sandy Dumps is what he just said. It's a website.
Days End has quite a few.
Yeah, Days End has a listing of them. Often fuel stops will have them. A lot of Flying J's have them. I've often gone into a RV park and paid them a fee to dump and then turned around and left. Other times I've gone into an RV park for one night, got my tanks, filled my water, got a shower, did my laundry, went out to a restaurant, and then went back to boondocking.
The thing I thought about in Ontario was we have a days pass that's, you know, it's like $100 or $70 for the year, and for that you could dump your tanks as often as you wanted. You just have to find the closest park. So days passes are another option.
Another good one for low cost boondocking is the state of New Mexico offers an annual camping pass. If you're not a resident of the state, it's I think it's $100 or $225 for 13 months if you get it on the first of the month. And that allows you 14 days of camping in any one of their state parks before you have to leave. It is boondocking, but if you want a site that has electricity, you pay $4 a night extra for that. And there's a lot of state parks in New Mexico. Yes, sir?
What is the Days End?
Days End is a list of places that are either free or cheap to overnight or spend a few nights or whatever. Boondocking sites, we would call them usually. And Guy Gibson is the person who created it. And it's something that is available to members of the Escapees RV Club. And there's a $10 a year subscription, but there's ways of not having to pay that depending on whether you want to help.
The list, I think every month there's a few of them in the monthly magazine.
Yes, that's true. They publish.
You can buy the big master list.
Right, they publish a few every month in the Escapees magazine, but this is the master list of all of them with the most recent corrections, and he updates it about 4 times a year, and it's actually really useful. The lady with the striped shirt, did you have a question?
It's 15 a year.
Oh, it's gone up to 15?
Yeah.
See, I volunteer at the care center, and he gives it to me for free.
And the thing I just discovered the other day is once you have an escapee number, you actually don't have to renew it. You can continue with Days End as long as you have the number. So if you leave escapees, you can still get Days End for the 10 or 15 bucks I just saw. So, okay, we're sort of getting towards the end of. I guess one other question, maybe Dave. What about gray water? Is it ever cool to dump your gray water other than it not?
Yes, it is sometimes okay, but it's becoming less and less so. And again, you have to talk to the entity that is in charge of the land. I don't ever do it, and the reason I don't ever do it is because my black water tank fills up first, so it's not an issue for me. But it is okay some places, but you have to check. That's all.
Since you are our boondocking expert, Dave, we're going to talk about this with the Boondockers Welcome too. But I wanted to ask you this, and that's And again, you're a man, so there's you're not a single woman traveling alone or anything, but do you always feel safe? What if you're traveling alone? Is it safe to leave your rig unattended? If you could just go into those details about boondocking and the safety issue.
Well, how do you give an absolute answer to a question like that? When I'm out in the boonies somewhere, often I'll go with another couple or something, and there's, a little bit of safety in numbers there. But as far as, being out in the boonies somewhere, I feel a lot safer out there than I do in the middle of some city.
It's a long way to go.
It's a long way for the riffraff to come looking for me.
And they don't even know if you're being
And I believe in security by obscurity. I've left my rig in place. Each case is it's your own take. Each case is different, and you gotta trust your gut, and especially your wife's gut, because their intuition is better. Seriously, gentlemen, when your wife says, I don't know about this, you say, okay, we'll go somewhere else. And seriously, that's an agreement that we have between us, and either one of us feels it the least bit uncomfortable, we just don't stay there. We're probably wrong, but maybe we're right.
Trust your instincts.
Yep. Amen.
I will speak to that as a single female traveler. I'm like Dave. I feel more comfortable out in the boonies somewhere and safer than I do sometimes in a RV park. Now, I also travel with a large Doberman who is whining in the back like he's an idiot. He will tend to, unless you don't know him, I've had most people who will stand back and not approach me, which is fine with me. I would rather have that. That is one of the reasons that he travels with me all the time. But I will use him also. If he's antsy, if he won't settle down, if he won't, dogs are very intuitive. I don't care if it's a Doberman, I don't care if it's a little beagle, cheagle, adorable. I don't care. Pay attention to your animals no matter where you are. If you're in an RV park, if you're anywhere, if they're not settling down, if they're antsy, if you can't get them to calm down, something's going on somewhere. Whether it be near you, around you, if you're not feeling it, listen to your animals, because they will feel it before you sometimes. But I have felt very safe traveling by myself, and I travel in an 18-foot van, so I'm never away from my rig, because my rig has to go with me. No matter where. If I go to the grocery store, my rig goes with me. So I don't leave. I've never been in a situation where I've traveled with somebody else who, I'm leaving my rig and going with them somewhere. So I can't speak to that because my rig is always with me. But listen to your gut. Your house has wheels. Get in it and move if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel comfortable. There's someplace else that you're going to feel safe and comfortable with.
If you're not in the habit of listening to your gut, for those of you that aren't, it's not like some overwhelming thing. It's just a little teeny tiny thing. It's saying just a little twinge. That's enough to say, hey, let's go do something else.
And I would just like to add to that. Larry and I, when we retired, we had a 14-foot camp light pulled by a Dodge Grand Caravan, and that was an issue for me when we left the trailer and took the van and went sightseeing or whatever. And I actually feel more comfortable if we're in an area where there are other boondockers with us, leaving it than in an RV park, because it's a community of people and we keep an eye on each other's stuff. You don't even have to ask.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I have found that I did not expect. So with that, the other thing I want to add is we are from Ontario, as some of our panelists, some of you are from Canada. Ontario and the East, the eastern provinces in Canada and the U.S. not as many boondocking opportunities as you would get in the West, especially in the US, and that is an issue in Ontario because our camping is very expensive. And so with that, I want to segue into Boondockers Welcome. And again, I'll remind you, we'll have questions at the end. So if you have more questions about boondocking, we'll have time for that. And we are mostly Boondocker Welcome people here, as well as Boondockers. Any of you want to just briefly explain what Boondocker is and how it works? Boondockers Welcome, sorry. Anyone want to speak to that?
So Boondocker Welcome is basically a platform or a website that is an annual fee, and I didn't actually... Sorry. Okay. It's an annual fee, and I didn't actually check what it was. I think it depends.
There's a Canadian American.
There's a Canadian American fee. There's a different fee if you're a host or if you are a guest. And for Scott and I, we were. So basically, all it is connecting you, whether you're a host or whether you're a guest, with the other person. You're in the same area. You're in an area that you want to have a look around, and you're looking for somewhere safe. Because again, some places, if you're in a city, people are saying they're not very comfortable in some cities, but you might be in a suburb of the city. There might be a Boondocker Welcome that has a driveway that doesn't mind that you stay there, and that's a lot safer than being just on the street corner. So it basically just marries you up, and you send them a message. So say you're a guest and you're looking at your map and, oh, we're going through that area, okay, I'd like to stay there. It very clearly shows you what they can accept, what size of rake, whether they accept pets or not, whether you're allowed to have generator on, whether your generator needs to turn off at 10 o'clock, whether you're on the plug-in. All the options are there, how many days you can stay, barbecues, yeah, slides, chairs, that sort of thing. It's very clear what you can do and what you can't. So for us, we have a rake, a bigger one, and we have a dog. So right away, that takes a few people off because some people don't want dogs, but a lot of them do. That's not really a big problem. I'm just saying, it's very clear where you can go. You send them a message. If they're available, and they will send you a message back, yeah, sure, no problem, and you can stay there. I think right now you can book up to 2 months in advance. We've hosted just this last year and a half, and we live in the middle of nowhere, so there's not too many people coming to see us. But I have a friend that's on Vancouver Island in Port Alberni. So anybody that knows Vancouver Island, and everybody goes to Tofino, so they're right on the route. They get people all week long, all summer long, and they have a great time. They do have a rake. They don't use it as much as they want to. They serve their own bodies, but they have a rake, so they go sometimes. But they basically love entertaining people from all around the world, and they love that connection. They've had up to 3 Boondockers welcome people, different units in their driveway at the same time. So, and not all. Some of the places are just a house with a driveway. We have 10 acres, so you can sit by the driveway and get plug-in, or you could go out in the field and be on your own. We don't care what you want to do. Other places, I know that, well, people tell you, but there's like lakes and, really good places that you can go that you would never see without Boondockers, because you're basically being welcomed into their home. Not into the home, but sometimes, but that's really it is. It's just marrying of the two, needs, and that's about it. Am I talking myself to death? No? Okay. So, I just want to say one thing. We joined because we want to be guests. And it's funny because I'm a little nervous about being a guest for the first time, which is ridiculous because as a host, I can't have people come over. So I don't know why I'm even nervous about that, right? And I think that, so just if you're nervous at all, don't be, because those people are signed up, they're open and welcoming. They wouldn't have signed up if they didn't. And that's it.
Oh, sir, I'll take the question.
For those who have hosted, do you socialize with your guests? Do you expect them to socialize with you? Or
Repeat the question. Sorry? Repeat the question. Do you socialize with your guests, or just go there and camp and leave?
Okay. Probably for us, it has been a little bit of both, but to the point of we make them feel welcome once they arrive, and let them know what amenities there are, how to move around our yard. We have an acre of property, and we are in the midst of Ann Arbor's West End, so we're not downtown, but a lot of people come there because of the stadium or other purpose involved with U of M. But we become the hostess and host of leading them to where they want to be, how to get to various different places, because it is familiar to us. And, you know, we don't necessarily socialize, we don't get out there and have a drink or anything with them, but we make them feel very welcome and provide them with maps or whatever is necessary at the time, give them suggestions of places to visit that we happen to know about who may not be printed out there in the newspapers and what have you. So it gives people a different local informational pattern to follow. So I hope that answered as far as socializing. Yeah.
No, I'll take it.
Oh, okay, your turn.
We have entertained people that have come over. We play music, so if we have time, we will entertain. We told some people who showed up one time, we said, we're going to put you to work tomorrow. You know, and they were very willing. We had 12 gallons of wine that needed bottling, and it had to be sampled ahead of time. And these people really didn't mind doing the work, you know. And later on that night, we made a popcorn machine out of beer cans, and they just had a wonderful time, you know. So other times, we're busy, and we don't have time to spend with them, but we still allow them to come in and sit and do their camping and do their own thing.
Right, so what's your address?
You have to join.
We just sold our house about 3 weeks ago.
But if you're a host, we'll come by.
Hang on, I think someone else wants.
I think a lot of it depends on the host and their schedule. And I mean, you can kind of get a sense. I always greet my guests, but you can kind of get a sense if they want to be sociable with you. Some people don't. Some people simply want to come in and park and be left alone. They have things that they're doing. Maybe they work, or they've driven 8-9 hours that day, and all they want to do is park and go to bed. So I think you have to be respectful of that. But most hosts, I think, will also, you know, try to ascertain that, you know, with their guest. And a lot of, for me, I leave it up to my guest. My door is always open. If you want to come and have a conversation, if you want to talk, if you need anything, please feel free to do that. So I think it's kind of a give and take, and every situation is different.
I'll just a couple sort of things about the app. The app, and it was just redone, and it's basically a website, and it's fairly sophisticated. Marianne's daughter is a computer programmer, and she took over it. And it, like I say, it allows a lot of things, but it has the whole user feedback system built into it, just like Amazon. So if you're a host and someone sends you a message, the first thing you can do is go and look at the reviews and say, yeah, this person looks good. And same thing the other way around. When you're looking for a place to stay, you can see what the people are like. See if you're looking for a social experience, you can look down and find somebody more social, because you'll read it. Like, you spent the night at the fire, they did all this, so it varies. And you can that's all built into the system, and it makes it just really easy to find a place and find something that meets what you need. So, over here.
Is it usually limited to a particular time, 1 or 2 days, or a week max, or what?
Generally, it's built into the system of what their standard thing is. But Roseanne and I, what we found is people will say, it'll say a day or 2 or 1 to 3, and then we'll get there, and quite often they'll say, stay as long as you want. Like, they have a lot of property, they accommodate. We were at a place in New Brunswick that was acres. They said, as long as you want. You're fine here all summer. So
Didn't they used to have an option on the webpage where it said play it by ear?
yeah, I think there is.
I don't think they have that anymore.
Well, play it by ear was really a good thing because that way we could say a night, but we could say when they had it play it by ear, you could say do it at night, and after you met them, you could say stay a week, whatever, we're home, glad to host you.
And did you feel that way, that you would like to meet people and see what they're like before, like?
Well, before obligating for more than 2 days.
Yeah, and that's what we found. So back there.
We've been hosts with Boondockers Welcome almost since its inception. And we probably had,
Thank you.
we probably had 20, 25 different people stay. Never a bad experience. Sometimes, they're busy, they're, like you say, they're looking for a place. Come, stay, leave. Usually they're social to somewhat, different levels. We've gone out for dinner. We've had people in for dinner. We've had people stay, pick them for one night, and they start. As far as touching on that, but also security. Boondockers Welcome is a blind site. When you sign up, all you have is your name, and all correspondence goes through that site. Now, even though Boondockers Welcome has more information, obviously, they do not share it. It's up to you contact me, want a place to stay. I contact you back. If I want to give you an email address, if I feel like giving you a phone number, that's totally my option. You have no access to anything else. And we had two so far this year. One of them was from the Netherlands. We were their first experience,
Wow, cool.
That is so fabulous. That is so cool. I'm just going to talk about Mary and I. It took us 2 years as members to use Boondockers Welcome. We were very reticent. We're Canadians. We don't want to bother anybody. And also Larry is into the we want to be spontaneous. We don't know where we'll be. But we went out, our first experience other than at Marianne and Randy's was in July. We went out east to the Maritimes, and we did we're retired now, we're never driving long hours. So from Barrie, north of Toronto in Ontario, we thought Coburg, which is along the 401, was a good stop. There was a boondock there. The pictures looked nice, everything looked nice, we went there. Okay, so our site was basically, one view was the lake. These people had a covered bridge on their property. They were from Montreal, it was an amazing experience, and it's been like that at every single one we've done. So we are hooked, and that's why we're here representing Boondockers Welcome today. I just want to give you an example of the site. It's been updated, and I'm really happy with it as a user. There's a calendar. It shows green, so you know before you even contact the host that they might be available. You can see all their information. You can see the reviews. It used to be a little bit, you had to give them a bit more notice. There's a lot more hosts now that are saying, 2 days notice, a day's notice. It'll even tell you on their spot how soon they get back to you. So you have an idea of how long you have to wait before you hear from them. But in our experience, most people, unless they're traveling or don't have internet where they are, will get back to you really quick. So that's sort of what our experience has been. What else we have? Yeah, we'll talk about Boondockers Welcome Etiquette, because we have a lot of hosts here. I think that would be really good to talk about, because we did talk about boondocking in general. Anyone want to speak to that? Why don't we just go through it?
We could just go through it. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Maybe once the light won't reach.
Okay, are we talking about etiquette? Sorry. So, I think for guests, I had one, they were on, I seem to get a lot of Canadians because of where I live. I'm on the East Coast in northwestern Pennsylvania. So I tend to get the snowbirds coming down and going back home. So actually all of my guests so far have been Canadian. But I think for etiquette, just, the hosts are opening up their home. Be pleasant. If you've had a long driving day and you're tired and you're cranky, try not to be that way with your host. I mean, seriously, they're opening up their home, their driveway, their field, their lives to you. Just be courteous. Be courteous and decent. That's all people ask for. That's all they want. They want to meet you. They want to interact with you. They want to enjoy you. They want you to enjoy being with them. So just be decent to them.
We have actually turned down one person, so we'll tell you what we did not like about it. And, on our thing, we had 2 days you could stay, and already they were asking for a third day before they even got there. And it was like, and then they were asking to run a generator, which, even though we had a few acres, we have one neighbor that's fairly close, and we just want to keep the neighbors happy. And they were already pushing the envelope over what we said was fine with us, And finally, at the end, I just said, we've got a family injury and we won't be home, and I just canceled them out. So, I think if you follow their rules, if they're not a fit, go somewhere else. Go to a campground, Go to some other place, We turned down plenty of them because they aren't our cup of tea, So, if they say there's low-hanging branches and you can't get your rig in, don't bother to go. Don't say, well, can't you go out there and clip those trees down before I get here?
Any other comments?
There might be a large Doberman on the porch.
We got a Doberman, folks. If you don't mind being down
I was going to say about, you were saying that the advance notice. So I think you can do about 2 months now, and there's some people that book. I get this mostly from my friend in Port Alberta because she gets so many people. So she's had a couple of examples where people will book months and months in advance, and then they don't turn up. All we need to do is to send a quick email and say we're not turning up, because maybe we booked in advance and we didn't realize. Things happen. We all change. I'm sure I know there's people here that go here differently than they thought they would. So, just if things change, and just let the host know. She also explained an example to me that somebody had called and said, I'm coming I'd like to come on next weekend. So they were going somewhere that weekend, and they said, well, you know what, we're going, but we can go the next weekend. So they changed their plans. The dog's taking the thing. They changed their plans. Those people did not turn up, and they had also had to, for the second weekend, which they actually were going to go do what they were doing, they had to turn other people away because of that, which I think is really sad, because those people then didn't end up doing, they didn't end up turning up and didn't even bother to say. And of course, as a host, you're waiting there for people. You're not maybe going grocery shopping, or you didn't go to your daughters, or whatever you're doing. You didn't go and do it because you want to have them come by. The other thing is, if they don't offer you electricity, don't just take it. Things like that, right? Because there's reasons for things, right? People will do that sort of thing. So just to be courteous, and that was the big thing. To make sure you cancel if you can't go, because things change.
Question?
Is there something built into the system that should those same people try to go to other places, that they can be forewarned, the hosts?
Yeah, well, you somebody didn't stay with you? Okay, yes, you can. At the back?
Yeah, we've been host and used the site for probably about 5 years now. And we live right across the border in Canada also. And one of our experience has been, we've had quite a few Americans walk with us and only to be turned back at the border because they found out they couldn't bring their gun across. So just so you're aware, if you're coming to visit us in Canada, you need to leave your gun. Yeah.
Bring the bear spray.
Yeah, you can't have pepper spray, but you're allowed bear spray.
That's right.
There is, just to further on that question, there is a system of, not really points, but comments, and it goes both ways. So if you go to a host place and you have an issue with something, you can actually put a little note. And they do encourage you putting comments. As a matter of fact, you get sort of points to the comments, so that will come off if you have a certain, I don't know what it is, but if you have a certain amount of comments, then you'll have a reduced rate the next year, that sort of thing. But again, my friend that was talking about having all the cancellations of people not saying anything, she did talk to Mary, and Mary said, well, you don't need to be nasty about it, but you could put a little note, unfortunately, because, guests did not cancel. And then that way, those people are going to be a little bit more careful the next time, because they will cancel in advance. Because if they're just taking advantage of that.
I guess one other comment I had was, I think if they offer electricity, that's fine, but I don't think electricity meant run your air conditioner 24 hours, 7 days, in which case, I think I would leave, a $10 bill, a $20 bill, whatever, an envelope when I left or something, because, electricity is getting expensive, so, that's, I think I've heard that from somebody.
I just want to say, we were hosts for 3 years. We're not anymore because we had 2 little boys living next door. But our first fellow that came, he wanted to stay for 2 nights, and I was all excited having my. And we're right on a major highway, and he wasn't there. He had parked to go visit his girlfriend, left his air conditioning running. It really hurt me.
Continuous, right?
Yes, never shut it off.
I just wanted to add too, referencing good, bad, whatever. In the 5.5 years, we have not had anybody that we stood back and said, gee, I really need to write something negative because I don't want anybody else to go through it. I've never had an experience of that kind. That at the same time, we've had people that, have brought us gifts. They come and we go our way, they go theirs. Well, they're on our property and never had any issues at all. All the comments that we've always received are very welcoming to us as well, and we need the same. And there's been a lot of interaction, even to the point we just left one days before we came here, and that was wanting us to, she asked if I would go shopping with her. We had common interest, and so, okay, fine. So there was a lot of interaction, personal action. I, for the very first time, had to turn somebody down because we were coming here. They wanted to stay the first night we were here, and so I had to turn them down. One other thing I've started as a result, if I can't host them, we have 2 other hosts that are within 20 miles of us, and I give them that information to let them know, here's another place. I don't recommend it because I don't know that they're good, bad, or otherwise as hosts, but most of the Boondockers are pretty good people, and let them judge for themselves. So at least I haven't shut the door on them completely, it gave them another option.
Thanks. Question?
2 quick questions. One is, how long of a notice do you give a host if you're planning on driving a 4-hour drive and you're going to be hosted by someone, but you get in traffic or something happens? Do you just call and say we might be an hour late?
Or maybe in some cases we're not going to make it tonight.
Okay. The second question is, the people that are the hosts, they have some kind of profile that you're describing a gathering that says this is what we have and all that. Do the people that want to be hosted, do you have some kind of profile you choose to put up there?
Yeah, everyone has a profile when we set up. So it tells about President and I, our history, our rig, our animals.
Our rig, our animals, our kids. I think there's a fair bit of information. So even without comments, you can go and look at the profile.
I just want to say, that fellow that came to see his girlfriend, he lived in an apartment in Toronto. And after that, it was on his profile. After that, I was very selective. If they didn't offer boondocking, I didn't either.
Now, some of us can't. We live in a suburban house with a short, slope driveway, and I wish we could. But you're right. Yeah, absolutely. Now let's run down the Boondockers Welcome panel. I guess maybe let everyone just give a general experience of something you were happy with, maybe something that didn't work out, but just sort of some experiences that you've had along the way, and from both sides of hosting and being hosted. We'll start with the door.
I've had awesome experiences as a guest and as a host. I've hosted, like I said, all of my hosting has been for Canadians. The very first stay that I did as a guest was our very first road trip. We drove 9 hours to get there, and we just happened to be in Southern Ohio, and it happened to be on the Chilo Locks, and we got to see barges. Our host was absolutely phenomenal and awesome, told us a little bit about everything. So other than a few cranky people, I have had absolutely awesome experiences as both a host and a guest.
We have been both host and guest, and up until recently we just sold our house. And we have had wonderful experiences on both ends. One place that comes to mind when we took a 7.5-month trip to Alaska 2 years ago. We stayed at a couple's house in Alberta. And they, due to their health and their age and stuff, they no longer travel, but they still love to host travelers. So we pulled into a subdivision. We actually called them because we were unsure of being able to fit, but they had cooked us a meal. They had some wine for us. And then they gave us a pound of ground moose burger. Wow. It was wonderful. And they were just so pleasant. We just sat there and chatted. They invited us in the house. And for the most part, we have had great experiences on both ends. And not anybody that we could say that we complained about. You know, there was none. It's all been good for us.
And we're not too far.
All positive for her, too.
We generally, either the first night or second when they're there, always have at least 2 dayers, offer them a dessert as a welcome when they arrive, and just let them know that if there's anything that they need from us, we're there, just knock on the door, or give us a little holler. So it's always been a very positive experience, and let them know that we're glad they're there. So come for the purpose with us being at the U of M area. They come very specifically because they're patients and they need to be able to be there. But for the most part, they're just traveling through.
So we're signed up to be hosts, and we're guests as well, but we've only been guests so far, and only on one trip, and we stopped south of Atlanta, and then the rest of it was in Florida, and every single person was nice as could be. One person had to leave while we were there. They asked us, well, will you water the pigs? We were pretty happy to do. But the other thing, a couple of things I haven't heard, and how many people are in Boondockers Welcome? And then are there people that have never visited the website? So you can easily do that and just put in Boondockers Welcome. And yeah, the card's in your bag. So
you go take a look.
Go take a look, and all of the red spots up here are places, and you can click on anything. And a lot of times it'll have a circle, and it'll say 15. That means there's 15 people. You click on that and show it, and all of them will come up, and you can look at every site where somebody wants to host. And then you click on individual, and that'll answer a lot of your questions about what kind of people are hosting. And the other thing I haven't heard yet is if you are a guest only, it's $30 a year. If you're a guest and a host, then it's $15 a year.
And just to note about the red dots, they're not perfectly accurate to where you are, so we're not giving away your address in the GPS. It's sort of in the area, but it does not pinpoint your house. So, you know, the only way they're finding you
is you are telling them once you're happy. Oh, sorry.
Well, I visited the website. It's probably been a little over a year ago now.
It's been totally revamped.
Okay, but at the time I didn't join up because we're full-timers. So obviously we can't host. But the impression I got was they discouraged you from joining if you were not able to host in return for being a guest.
No, like I said, we live in a suburban property with a 25-foot driveway that's sloped like this. Yeah, I mean, that's not the case. I mean, it's fine. We can't. I mean, we'd love to move out of the country, but it's not going to happen right now. So, yeah, we have one small driveway. We can barely fit the vehicles we have in there at the moment. So,
what Mary Ann told us when we were there, I can't tell you how careful she is in this. They balance the number of hosts to the number of people visiting. So it's not, they just go, okay, these are the hosts. It's very looked
she
at.
won't take too many.
So she'll always try, and there's no pressure at all to be a host. You need people to go in order to have the host have someone come. The other thing I want to say that I'm into big time, you pick your favorites, and for me it gets kind of overwhelming, but when you go to someone and you love what you see, you pick it as your favorite, and then later you can go through your favorites and see. For trip planning, it's really awesome because sometimes if you have 3 in an area you're going to go, especially a city, sometimes maybe only one's available, but there are 3 awesome people, so you find the one and you go. So that's the other aspect about that in terms of if you have to host, not at all. Yes?
I've actually never had anybody come to where we are. And one reason is because our driveway is half a mile long and it's really rough. So I have that in my profile. You know, if you have a really big rig, you're probably not going to want to come up there. During the eclipse, we were in the best place ever in South Carolina. It was going right through there, full eclipse. And I probably had 4 or 5 people contact me. I tell them about our road, and I say, you know, if you want to, that's great, but if you don't, we live in the national forest. I say, I'll tell you exactly where to go. You won't be at my house, but I can tell you where to go to Boondocks within a mile of my house. You know, and I had a lot of people take me up on that.
That's great. Perfect.
And that is not unusual for a host. Be so open and giving and generous in their knowledge. We find that everywhere we've been. And that's one of the things with our hosts here. We've met on this rally, but everywhere we've gone, they're not only hosts to us, they're our friends. It's an awesome thing.
Yeah, I'm going to go get on the website and go to Boondockers Welcome as soon as I get connected. And I can be painted a wonderful picture. But I notice I'm still left back a little bit of going, people, what's it like when the excrement hits the rotating propeller and you're all by yourself in the boonies? Y'all got some story, because I noticed that's where I go. I worry. I'm a worry.
So you're back in boondocking.
Back in boondocking.
Yeah, you're out in the desert. It's
not about Boondockers Welcome. Because you painted a wonderful picture.
We don't have to keep hearing, I don't think we need to hear the stories over and over, although I know people love telling them. I want to know back in, about boondocking. You know, when you're parked out somewhere and something goes wrong.
And now, Dave, do you think it's better to handle more of those specific questions offline, or Dave will address that? And Dave has it. Okay, we only touched boondocking.
We only touch boondocking fairly lightly, so Dave, afterwards he's welcome to more specifics about saving water and stuff like that. He's willing to chat with anybody afterwards.
So I've not had many excrement hit the rotating device situations when I've been boondocking. But here's an example. I'm camped in the desert over there, very into the California desert, low desert in the wintertime. And my wife is in the rig sleeping, and we're camped with another couple. We like park next to each other. We have a little fire room between us. It was very nice. I got on my bicycle and I rode a couple miles across the desert so I could go hiking up a mountain, and I'm on my way back and I've got my rig inside and my phone rings. My wife says, "There's bees in the rig." Okay? I'm thinking she's having a bad dream. But I rush back to the rig and I go in and I go to the bedroom, which is in the back, and I open the door and there are bees in it.